Children, can I have you stand just for a moment? You can stand. That's good. Yeah. There's less of you this morning, so I just want to say, I know I speak for everyone here, that I am so proud of you. I've watched you all year prepare for this moment. You made your sacrament of reconciliation. That takes courage, honesty. I saw you go on retreats with your parents. Some of you I see every week right here in the church. And I've even seen some of your parents get in the habit of Sunday Mass this past year. I'm proud of them. I've seen some of your parents take you even from time to time to daily Mass. What a beautiful way of forming how important this is. So I want to just say this is a beautiful moment in your life. And as your pastor, I am so proud of you. Amen? Okay, you can sit now. For a moment or a few moments. Depends, huh? I was on my exercise bike the other morning, and a song came on. I had heard the tune before. It was catchy. I found myself pedaling faster. Children, maybe your parents will know who this person was, but the person singing was Cher. Cher. And the name, believe it or not, I started listening to the lyrics. The name of the song was Believe. And she was singing to someone, and I wouldn't have wanted to been that someone. She was saying, do you believe in life after love? What she really meant, of course, is do you believe in love? Like, not the feeling of love, but love as life. She's singing this to some person. And then she says, there's something inside of me that tells me you're not strong enough. Now, I find with most secular love songs, there's always a little sadness, but there's also an element of truth. And I thought to myself, Cher is a philosopher. She's right. Who could argue? Who in this church could argue? I know I'm called to love. I know I'm called to put others ahead of myself. But man, I fall short all the time. It's like I don't have the internal strength to do what I'm made to do. So one of the things I want to ask us is, why did Jesus come down from heaven? Why did he come all that way? He's God. Like, he created all the stars we see. He created the things in this universe we can't even see. And why did he come all that way? Well, children, he wanted to share your life, every part of it. Think of it. He was this small inside of his mom. He made that beautiful 9-month journey inside of his mom. He became a child, just like you. He had to be fed, changed. He had to learn to walk, go to school, learn to write. He even got a job. You're going to get a job someday. He was a carpenter. We don't know how well it paid, but he wanted to share everything in our life, the joyful moments, the hard moments. And do you know why? Because he wanted to share his life with us fully. Everything he knew about heaven, about what we're made for, about being the Father's beloved Son. Nobody, no human man, person has ever lived who is as free as Jesus. He could fail, he could take risks because he knew he was loved. And he wants to share that with us. So think about what he says about himself. This is what he tells us. He says, I am the way. So if you listen to my voice and you follow me, you got to make decisions. You're going to arrive safely where you're meant to be, heaven. You're not going to get lost. Second, he says, I'm the truth. It's almost like someone turning on a light in a dark room. You say, oh, that's what that's for. That's the meaning of it all. And again, without that light, we just go in circles. But here, let's go back to Cher. A little interlude for Cher in the way, the truth. What else does Jesus say about him? I'm the life. I'm not just going to tell you to do something and then leave you to yourself to do it. I'm going to come and live in you. Do you remember when the first Mass was? What you're doing today? Nearly 2,000 years ago. It was the night before that happened. And he gathered his best friends around him. And he's going to say, I'm going to say the very words he said 2,000 years ago. This is my body. You take it and eat it. This is my blood. You take it and drink it. Wow, really? And then he explains this at the Last Supper. He says, I'm the vine, you're the branches. How intimate. You ever looked at the vine and the branches? Where does the vine end and the branch begin? St. Paul will even say, like, it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And my favorite verse in the New Testament, it's so consoling to me, I can do all things in him who is my strength. I can't love on my own, but he comes to love in me. You know what I told yesterday, someone in the confessional, having a hard time forgiving someone? I told them what I do when I have a hard time. I say, Jesus, I want to forgive. I can't. You forgive in me. You forgive in me. Children, where I have a house, not for long, because I'm going to be living here soon, but I look out at a wonderful pond, and there's a large willow tree. You ever seen a willow tree? They're beautiful. They're very distinct looking. And last year there was a big storm. So one of these big branches on the willow tree it's not connected, but it's still sitting there. And all year I've watched that branch just die. And it looks so different than the life of the rest of the tree. You know, when I was at seminary, we used to have seminarians from St. Cloud, and some of these men grew up on farms, and they were hardy men. They were some of my favorite guys. What they decided to do one spring, now they were living in the city, is they went out back. These are men preparing to be priests. They're in school. They asked me if they could do this. And they knew how to tap these trees. So to get all this sap. And from that sap, they made delicious syrup. And do you know how many gallons of sap they got from those trees? It was amazing. When you look at a tree, you're like, is all that life going on in there? Well, this is the point, children. He says, I'm the vine, you're the branches. Today, he gets to live in us. He gets to live in us. Do you know, when you're ordained a priest, you take a prayer card, you put a beautiful image that's important to you, and a verse from Scripture that you want to live your whole priesthood by, and you never want to forget. And do you know the verse I chose? It's from this gospel. Jesus says to each of us, without me, you can do nothing. I find that so consoling. I find that so consoling. And you know the image it brings me back to? I have a friend who has a sailboat. One day we went out, it was a beautiful Monday, it's our day away. We had plans to sail. We had everything in our mind, what a great day. We had a picnic, there was an island, and we got out on the lake, and there was no wind. So we just sat there and looked at each other. And some days when I'm really tired as a priest and I think, I can't go to the hospital to visit this person. I'm done. I got nothing left. Those are some of the most beautiful moments in my life because then it's clear. Then it's clear. It's his strength or it's not. I don't have it. Children, your whole life now, our whole life is learning to live from the strength of Jesus in us. Since you're also with me, I'm going to keep going. Is that okay? I want to close with 3 little practices that are important. Important for all of us to remember, and sometimes we forget as Catholics. And the first is, do you know that to receive Jesus in Holy Communion, you have to fast? An hour before you're going to receive him, You can't eat anything or drink anything except water. I remember when I was your age, my dad would sometimes take us to daily mass, so then you had to even move everything up because it was shorter mass, and I was wolfing down a bowl of Cheerios, because I needed breakfast. But that's such a helpful thing. We prepare our hearts to receive him. He needs space for us to enter, for him to enter. Secondly, when we come in the church, we practice this, but sometimes adults need practice too. When we come into church, the first thing we do is we genuflect. Where that candle's lit, that sign that Jesus' real presence, body, blood, soul, and divinity, those consecrated hosts, is always here. I sometimes love coming in here when it's dark and praying all by myself, and I know he's here. My grandma used to teach me, so that I wouldn't just do the action without thinking, to say this little prayer. Dear Jesus, I know you're here and I love you. When you come up to receive communion, you're going to bow. What a gesture of, you're going to make of your hands a throne, or you're going to receive on your tongue. All these things, children, adults, is this reverence, this humility. We're not worthy to receive the King, but he wants to come. And the last thing we'd want to do as suburban Catholics is be a little too casual, to take this for granted. Third and final discipline is, do you know the last words that Jesus said at the Last Supper? I'm going to say them today during Mass. This is my body, this is my blood. And then he says, do this in memory of me. Well, if this is that amazing, why would Jesus have to command us once a week? He doesn't say, hey, think about it. I'd like for you to maybe come and visit me once. He says, do this in memory of me. Because sometimes, children, the most important things are not easy. We can get distracted. I didn't like eating mixed vegetables. But if I didn't, what kind of shape would I be in? I saw a cartoon yesterday, and it was a man who was looking pretty sick in bed, and the doctor was there, it was in the newspaper, and he looked up at the doctor and he said, do you think it would have helped if I ate salad? And parents, I really want to encourage you. In some ways, this is on you. I've shared all year, last 2 years, St. Ambrose is out of the religious education business. It has not borne fruit. All of our finite energy is into forming families. And all we can do as a parish is to build upon, complement how you're leading. And the last thing I'd want for you, parents, is to get to your mid-50s and to say, and I want to reverence. I've got younger siblings. Sometimes it's just getting through the week. I get it. But imagine coming to your 50s and say, we sacrificed everything. We gave everything. But we didn't impart the most important thing. We didn't give faith. That God's first, Jesus is first, and we order everything around that. And then there's actually peace. Because if he's not first, something will be, and it's not worth it. I guarantee you. So I can't encourage you enough. I thank my parents to this day. The times when I was an adolescent and I protested, I had a sporting event. They were like, you're only going on the sporting event if you can figure this out. The times I stayed up late in high school and I didn't want to get up on a Sunday. But my parents were living Jeremiah. Like, for us in our household, this is what we do. This is who we are. And you know the beautiful thing at St. Ambrose is you got a lot of cover. There's movement and kids and noise everywhere. So no one needs to be ashamed. The victory of bringing our children and our families before the Lord every week. I'll close with this. Did I say I'm going to close? This is finally it. You know, as a man in this parish who was playing professional hockey, and he shared this with me a few years ago, and his career was not where he wanted it to be. He was playing in Europe. He wanted to be here. But nor was his relationship with God and his faith. And the Lord convicted his heart. You need to go to Mass, and you need to bring your family. And it was so clear to him, he just started to do it. The irony is his career took off. Most of you would recognize him. That's not why you should do this. You know why you should do it? Because I've had 2 of the marriages for his adult children. I see 2 of his young adult children in Mass every day. I see them attractively living the faith. Children, you're called to be saints. Parents, lead the way.